Before we begin, let me tell you something. This video is not here to comfort you, and it's not here to tell you that everything will be fine. If you stay until the end, there's a good chance you'll feel uncomfortable. Not because what I'm about to say is harsh, but because it's true. I'm speaking to those who feel that something is off, even if they can't explain it. To those who did everything right, yet still feel empty. If that's you, stay, not to believe me, but to look at yourself honestly. Because what follows doesn't explain why life hurts. It explains why you keep suffering.
You're not suffering because life is unfair. You're suffering because you forgot who you are and started believing what the world told you instead. Somewhere along the way, you traded your truth for survival. You started shrinking yourself to fit in, hiding your light so people wouldn't feel uncomfortable around it, and now you wonder why everything feels empty. Your sadness isn't weakness. It's your soul trying to wake you up. It's the reminder that you've been living as a version of yourself that was built from fear, not love. Think about it. When you were a child, you didn't question your worth. You just existed, loudly, curiously, freely. You weren't afraid to be seen. Then one day, someone's words, someone's rejection, someone's silence made you forget. The moment you remember who you are, the real you beneath the masks, your suffering starts to dissolve. Because pain can't survive where truth is present. So the next time you feel lost, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask, "What did I forget about myself?" Because remembering is how you finally come home.
Most people are not looking for peace. They are looking for a version of life that doesn't force them to question themselves. Psychology is clear about this. The human mind prefers a familiar pain over an unfamiliar truth. Even when that pain slowly destroys us, it feels safer because it is known. That's why so many people stay in relationships that drain them, habits that suffocate them, identities that no longer belong to them. Not because they don't know, but because seeing demands action. And action requires courage. Philosophy has always been honest about this. Nietzsche said that human beings do not flee suffering. They flee the meaning of suffering. Because once suffering has meaning, responsibility begins. Carl Jung went even further. What you refuse to make conscious will return as fate. So you call it bad luck, you call it betrayal, you call it life being unfair. But often, the truth is more disturbing. You abandoned yourself to be accepted. From childhood, we learn one lesson very early. To be loved, we must adapt. We silence certain emotions. We suppress certain truths. We hide parts of who we are. Psychology calls this the false self. It protects you, but it slowly separates you from yourself. And the longer you live behind that mask, the more your body, your mind, and your life begin to resist. Anxiety, chronic exhaustion, a quiet emptiness, shallow relationships. These are not weaknesses. They are signals. But society doesn't teach you to listen. It teaches you to distract yourself, to consume, to perform, to smile, to keep going. So you keep going until something breaks. And that moment is not a collapse. It's an awakening. You realize that no one betrayed you more deeply than you betrayed yourself. That you traded truth for approval, depth for safety. That realization hurts because it removes all excuses. From that point on, there are two paths. The first is comfortable. You rationalize, you minimize, you return to what's familiar. The second is brutal. You look without filters, without justification. You accept that some relationships must end, that certain versions of yourself must die, that growth always demands loss. Jung called this process individuation. The moment a person stops living according to external expectations and begins becoming who they truly are, this process isolates you. It disturbs others. It is frightening, but it frees you because someone who has truly seen themselves can no longer be controlled by fear. They no longer live for validation. They no longer beg for love. They choose truth, even when it costs them everything. And that is exactly why so few people go all the way. Because healing is not about becoming happy. Healing is about becoming responsible for your own life. And not everyone wants that responsibility.